Hello everybody, welcome back to AutoX Bulletin, and on today's episode we're going to be talking about the 10 most influential two-wheelers that have ever been launched in the Indian market. And we're going to be doing that in a very different way. Instead of ranking them from 1 to 10, we're going to go in chronological order because obviously the older motorbikes had a much bigger impact on the market today. So we're going to start from way back when the scene first started up until the modern era. So without further ado, let's get going. And at number 1, obviously, is going to be the Royal Enfield Bullet. Now, I'm sure a lot of guys out there will agree and some guys won't agree, but the fact of the matter is the Royal Enfield Bullet has been the most influential bike in motorcycle history, not just in India, but in the world. It is the longest surviving nameplate of a motorcycle. The Bullet was one of the first big capacity big bikes available in India, and it has a cult following unlike any other. It was the Bullet 350 that made waves, and the bike became one of the most desirable ones in India, and is perhaps one of the many reasons why Royal Enfield brand has become so strong. So I don't even need to explain to you guys why this bike is there. So moving forward, as time went on, then we had another bike come into the market, and that was the Jawa. Now, of course, the competition to Royal Enfield was the Jawa, and the reason why the Jawa became so popular among enthusiasts is because the brand had always been a pretty good motorcycle in terms of the presence that it had in the country, and in the 60s until the early 90s, it was very, very popular. Back then, Jawa bikes were considered some of the most affordable performance bikes and gained popularity, and the brand was active in many races that cemented Jawa's presence both in the market and in the hearts of people. Moving down further, again, we have another motorbike that captivated everybody, and that is the Yezdi. Now, the Yezdi Road King, to be more specific, was one of the most popular bikes at that time, and the Yezdi was based on an old rally motorbike. So once again, the Yezdi was used in a motorsport, and it gained a lot of popularity because it was very successful. And at that time, the bike had a 250cc two-stroke air-cooled engine that produced about 16 brake horsepower and 23 Nm of torque. And the motorcycle was capable of reaching a speed of 120 kilometers. For that time, that was pretty epic. Now, moving down, we have the Bajaj Cheetah. Now, I know a lot of you guys won't think Cheetah belongs on this list, but the fact that it has cemented itself in the history books as being one of the most popular two-wheelers of all time in India makes us want to put it on this list. I'm sure all of you have memories of this bike, this scooter. I have a lot of memories of the scooter, and I have a lot of family members who own it. I've also ridden the scooter. It was one of the first tools I ever rode in my life, and so there's so much nostalgia factor attached to the Cheetah, and it totally paved the way for the way Indians commuted. It was an affordable, practical machine that just made everyone out there able to be mobilized, and that's why the Cheetah is definitely on this list. And then moving down, we have probably the most popular bike on this list, and that is the Yamaha RX100. Now, the RX100 came into being because the RD350, which was the top performance bike at that time, wasn't very affordable and practical. So Yamaha had to bring something else into the market, and so they brought in the RX100. It was powered by a 98cc two-stroke air-cooled single-cylinder engine that produced 11 brake horsepower and only 10 Nm of torque, but the engine was paired with a 4-speed gearbox. And it was very popular because it was very reliable. It never broke down unless it was not maintained, and even the clutch and gear cables would last throughout the entire lifespan of the bike. So the RX100 certainly revolutionized the way Indians would be traveling on two-wheelers. And now, moving down the list again, we have the Hero Honda CB Zed. The CB Zed is responsible for revolutionizing the entry-level sports bike segment here in India, and it made it affordable to the masses. For the first time, Indians got a little taste of good performance and speed. The bike was launched in '99, and it became one of the most greatest products that ever caught people's attentions in India. And it makes the list. In fact, it was the success of the CB Zed that actually led to the next bike on our list, which is the Pulsar. Because the CB Zed was so popular and in such high demand, Bajaj wanted to come out with a similar product, and they wanted to captivate the market the same way the CB Zed did. And so they spent a lot of money and a lot of time coming out with the product. And when they first came out with the product, it was the Bajaj Pulsar. Now the Pulsar, of course, even today, the brand is so strong. It has its own cult status, and not just India, across the world as well, where the bike is sold. It was a fantastic bike. In fact, my first motorbike was the Bajaj Pulsar, so that's why I'm putting it on this list. It's a fantastic motorcycle. And today we have all kinds of variants and models in that bike. and it's definitely one of India's best homegrown performance bikes you can get out there. Next on our list is the Yamaha R15. Now, I know a lot of people out there will be like, why the Yamaha R15? Well, first of all, it was the first fully fared entry-level sports bike you could buy in India. And when I first laid my eyes on the Yamaha R15, I was completely blown away with the bike. I had never seen anything like that on Indian roads that was affordable for everyone to buy. So Yamaha once again brought in an entry-level sports bike that totally blew everybody away. And it was one of the best sports bikes in that segment to ever been launched. And even today, now in its third generation, the Yamaha R15 still is a fantastic motorbike in the segment. And now coming down, we get to the KTM Duke 390, which even till this day is the best bike you can get in India. Totally changed the way we see performance bikes today, especially entry-level performance bikes today, because it was brought in at such an amazing price point, and it had the best performance figures we've ever seen in a bike in that segment, that as soon as we rode it, we were blown away by it. It was absolutely stunning. And the bike has been so successful. The Orange Army, as they call them, they're everywhere. And of course, KTM deserves to be on this list because they really completely opened the market for other performance bikes to come in. And they've still been at the top of the benchmark for the segment, so they definitely need to be on this list without any question. And now, no list in this category can be complete without the Honda Activa. Now, I know you're going to say the Honda Activa is not the most best performing two-wheeler out there, but the fact that it's sold over 20 million units worldwide, and that 1 in every 5 two-wheelers that are sold in this country is an Activa, has just got so much to say. It's the best quality, it's got great performance, extremely practical, great price points, and it comes in many different variants, and it's just the most reliable two-wheeler you can put your hands on today. The Activa brand itself is separated from Honda. It's that strong. And so there you have it, guys. This is the top 10 list that we've come up with for the most influential two-wheelers that have ever been launched in the Indian market. If you guys agree with this, please go ahead, put some questions or some comments down. If you guys don't agree with it, that's up to you. We all have plenty of free time on our hands with us. If you want to write into us, abuse us, curse us, or send us your own list, it's absolutely fine. But until then, see you next time.